Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Soulful Living with Megs. I'm so grateful to have you here back for a moment of connection with me. Hi everyone, I hope that you're doing so well. I've missed you. I'm so sorry that I'm posting this on Tuesday evening probably instead of Monday, but like I said in my Instagram story post that I made yesterday, it was a crazy busy week followed by a very busy weekend. I had my mom and my two best friends fly in from Calgary on Friday evening, and we spent the entire weekend together. I took Monday, Tuesday off of work, so it's been super busy, but I know you guys understand. And, the days leading up to it, I was doing so many different errands after work and I was doing many different appointments. So I just didn't have time to sit down and record and edit for you guys and get something out that I was proud to bring forward. So I really appreciate, again, the patience. And I know I'm really only a day late, but if you guys know me, you know I like to stick with a schedule and routine. And of course, consistency for me is super key. But I understand that life gets in the way and things change and we can evolve and grow from there. But I'm actually excited that I'm a day late for posting because on May 10th, my two best friends and my mom and I went to the Mel Robbins Let Them tour. And for those of you who don't know who Mel Robbins is, I'm sure everybody who listens to me thus far definitely knows who she is. I have referenced her before, but she has an incredible podcast and she has 3 incredible books. I'm pretty sure she has 3 of them. I have only read the Let Them Theory, but I have been following her for the past, I want to say, year and a half now. And all of her episodes really sit true with me. I love that she brings experts on to talk about many different topics. And she has a great way of taking complex emotions and situations and ideas and breaks them down for the average listener into very easy steps and simple instructions on how to basically create a better life for whoever's listening. Yeah, so I've been a fan of Mel for quite some time now. I read the Let Them Theory last Christmas, I believe it was. I read it in not even a week. It was such a fast and easy read. The way that her and her daughter wrote the book just made it very simple, and I resonated with so many parts in the book, and I highly recommend reading the Let Them Theory if you haven't. And basically she released tickets to go on tour to, I didn't know at the time. I didn't really have any expectations going into this tour. What I kind of thought it was going to be was discussing her book in some way, but then the key themes in her book, and then also kind of inspiring those who are there, because she is a fantastic motivational speaker and I think brings a lot of positivity and insight into her audience and with what she speaks about. So yeah, my friends and I bought tickets. We were like, yeah, we have to go. My mom loves her and it just so happened to fall on Mother's Day. So I figured it was the perfect thing for my mom and I to go to. And honestly, it was the most incredible experience. And I want to get into that with you in just a couple minutes. But of course, I wanted to recap my weekend with my best friends and my mom because that was really special. So on Saturday, they arrived Friday evening pretty late. And so we didn't get up to a ton then. But on Saturday, we went to this place called Cultivate Tea. And it's basically a matcha tasting room. They also have, of course, so many different teas to buy and purchase. They do have a coffee shop aspect to it where you can actually order a latte or a matcha or some type of tea. But the guy that we were talking to kind of said that a lot of people don't come in to buy that just because it is quite expensive for a cup. Most people, I think, come for the tasting room or to stock up on their favorite teas. But it was just the 3 of us. My mom doesn't drink matcha, so I didn't think that that would be a super fun experience for her. So while she was out and about shopping, my 2 best friends, Nat and Laura, and we were there, and we went through the entire process from start to finish of how to make a matcha and how to create this morning ritual or whenever you drink it, and kind of the history behind matcha, how it's actually made. Because as you guys know, I love my matchas. I love my slow mornings. I love to be intentional with what I do in the morning. So I was so curious to learn how to properly make a matcha. I have a pretty good idea of how to do so anyway. I have the whisk, I have the sifter, I have the proper bamboo scoop, I have the ceremonial grade matcha and all of that. But of course, like, I want an expert to teach me, and Laura loves matcha. So we definitely relate on that part. I love to share that experience with her. And I'm so proud of Nat for trying something new. She's not really a matcha drinker, but it was amazing to kind of expand her palette and learn about the history as well. And it was like such an aesthetically pleasing experience. So we tried 4 different tasters, 3 matchas, and then 1 hojicha, which was super good, so different from matcha. And I didn't realize that it's a significantly reduced amount of caffeine for the hojicha. It uses like a different part of the leaf. But anyway, we learned so much in the hour that we were there. Such good tasting matcha. I will definitely be back at one point to purchase some ceremonial grade matcha from there. And the guy's vibes was just like, he was so calming and peaceful, and the whole place was just such a nice energy and feel and vibe, and I felt very calm and serene. And so that was a great way to spend our early afternoon. And then we went shopping and just did like a ton of walking. My friends and my mom, when they come here, they know we're going to do some walking. And we didn't fall short on that. We did a lot of walking in the weekend. And then Saturday evening, we spent some time with some other friends. We went out for dinner, which was really nice. And yeah, we stayed up way too late, which is just not something we do anymore. I don't know how we used to do it back in the day. I guess we were way younger and our bodies were easier adaptable and easier to bounce back the next day. But that was really crazy of us for staying up so late. And then Sunday morning, we went to a nice Mother's Day brunch for my mom. We spent some time outside again. And then we also went shopping again that day because I wanted to show them the kids area. We went and got some more matcha from another place and just like enjoyed the sun. It's been gorgeous weather here for them. So I was really happy that they got to spend some time in the sun. And then Sunday evening, we got ready for dinner. We went out to this great Italian restaurant for a little happy hour. And then we went to our Mel Robbins show, which honestly was so inspiring. And I cannot wait to dive into what we went over. So I guess we should just get into that. But I did want to say to my mom, to Nat and Laura, that I love you all. And I'm so happy that we got to spend this time together. I was very sad to see them go on Monday evening, but it was such a nice reminder of the amazing people that I have in my life and everything that I've learned from them and the growth that I feel like I have within me, and just to see them and how they're thriving and how well they're doing, and just to miss them also is such a blessing. The fact that I have people in my life that I love and care about so much that it's very difficult to say bye to them, but I can't wait to see them again in July because I'm flying home to Calgary for Stampede. So it won't be too long till I get to see them again, which is so wonderful. But anyway, let's get into the Mel Robbins Let Them tour. It was in a beautiful theater in Vancouver. I've never been to the Orpheum, but it was a great size, great venue, like gorgeous architecture actually inside. And like I said earlier, I didn't exactly know what to expect from the tour. I kind of anticipate it being like a TED Talk, like sit down almost podcast episode, if you will, but it was so different than what I thought it was going to be. And it was such an immersive, kind of interactive experience that like you really couldn't fall asleep during. Not that I wanted to, but you know what I mean? Sometimes when you're in some type of venue like that, the lights are dark and somebody's just kind of talking, it can be tiresome. But no, this was so different. It was incredible. It was kind of like a comedy show slash performance slash motivational speech that you could take so much from. And when we got there, the people at the door who were scanning our tickets, they handed us these notebooks that said Mel Robbins on tour. And so that was a nice little treat that we got to have a notebook and a pen to write stuff down, which, because you best believe I'm going to be taking notes during this seminar thing. And then they had some really cute tote bags and then some signed copies of her Let Them Theory book. So we all got a tote bag, which was fantastic. It was actually great quality too for the price. So love that. And we were sitting in some pretty good seats. So got to see everything, got to hear everything. It was amazing. But basically she had somebody else come on to dressed as her, which was so funny, and they did a great job, a great impersonation, hilarious. And Mel eventually came out. The show was about 2 hours long, which I wasn't expecting. I thought it was going to be a bit shorter than that, but I loved that it was that long because there was so much we could take from it. And basically the premise of what I took from the entire performance, if you will, speech, whatever we want to call it, was she kind of broke down the themes in her book kind of in order, which was nice, but she also integrated some questions and some very important lessons and reminders in a very tasteful way, but then also being so funny and relatable at the same time. She was asking questions like, what is one area in our life that we wish to change? And because your current life is leading you somewhere, is there somewhere you would like to go? Is there somewhere else you'd like to go? What do you want for yourself in 5 years? And what if you haven't even met the best person yet? And kind of how do you begin if you feel stuck? There were so many questions like that, and also just reminders of like how much she transformed her life in 5 years from, or even 3 for that matter. She's only had this podcast for a few years, but going from being in so much debt to where she is now, feeling financially free, feeling like she's making a difference in the world, kind of how she navigated through that. And speaking to the listener who feels like they're stuck in between 2 lives, which I feel like so many of us feel, at least I do, but knowing that there is something more and that you're meant for more, oh my gosh, it was amazing. So she kind of talked about like how she changed her life based on these 7 big themes that she talks about in her book, but then also some real life listeners, like questions of how they can navigate the world and what areas they're struggling in and how they can gain some advice and knowledge on that. But she mentioned her 5-second rule, which she has a book on that I'd love to read. But she talked about how, one tiny ordinary moment in her life, which was like a Tuesday morning, how everything kind of shifted for her, where she said 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and she jumped out of bed like a rocket ship and just kept moving. And she reminded us like how it's one action at a time, how we can push through fear and anger, and how each of those small wins that you do in ordinary life, they stack up on each other, and how life, especially your own life, is changed by action even before you feel ready. So she talked about how she didn't want to get out of bed in the morning and how she did make that choice to get out every single day, even if she didn't want to. And she also reminded us how we are the result of how we acted, even if we didn't feel like it in that moment, because your future self is kind of asking you or wanting you to push yourself in this way. And by you getting up every single morning, that is going to help your future self, even if you didn't feel like it in the morning. She reminds us that there's always an alternative path before we even see it. And she also reminded us that we don't have to spend the rest of our lives as this version, because truthfully, we won't. I feel like even if you look back 5 years ago at who you were a different person then, and you're like now, you're constantly growing and evolving and changing, so you will become a different version of yourself. But it is inspiring to know that we don't have to spend the rest of our lives in this version of ourselves, that we can expand and can grow. But the important thing about that is that willingness won't change, but action does. So that's where the big thing of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 comes in, where you kind of just have to keep moving and keep going. And knowing that there were so many different versions of you before this version now, so there are going to be more versions of you in the future. And I think this sat true with me because I spend a lot of time overthinking, but she was saying how she spent too long thinking instead of just doing. And I think we kind of use that as an excuse, at least I do, from kind of not moving forward, because I like need to feel like I have a plan or an understanding before I move forward, but that kind of keeps us in this thinking trap and keeps us feeling stuck, in a way, I guess. And she also said, like, time is not an excuse, it's a valuable resource to be protected. And you're missing what is right in front of you, which is today. So focus your time and energy back on yourself today, because time is limited and you owe yourself absolutely everything. She also touched on the fact that nobody owes you anything, but you owe yourself anything, which was such a fantastic reminder, because I feel like sometimes we think people owe us or people need to change in a certain way, which kind of brings in why she wants to teach us the let them theory, because we just have to let people be who they are because we have no control over that. But then letting yourself take control of your actions, you start backing yourself and owing yourself what you're meant to do in this world and how to be and go after what you want, because that is what you owe yourself. And she also talked about how using the let them theory allows you to choose how much energy and time you give to someone when you acknowledge, hey, I'm letting you be you. And then you can kind of think within and turn within and take back that control for what you're going to do moving forward, and kind of seeing, okay, what can I do in this situation? How do I feel? Do I need to start setting boundaries? How much time and energy am I willing to put into this person? How much time and energy am I willing to spend focused on other people instead of myself? So it was all great reminders. It was just such an inspiring talk about how we're not stuck as this version of you, that you can take responsibility for your life and stop living it like people owe you something, and knowing that we're so capable of creating what we want. And I think it's important to identify and define what you actually want and then get to work, she said. I wrote down, define what I want, then get to work, because again, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you want to just keep moving forward. She also brought her daughter Sawyer out, her co-author of the Let Them Theory, and I loved the interaction between mother and daughter. I feel like I resonated with both of them. I feel like I see myself in both Mel and Sawyer in different ways, and it was just a cool dynamic to see. It was also nice to have them open up about the fact that they struggled in their relationship maintaining closeness, because I feel like I've personally struggled with my parents in the past, and I'm definitely working on being more open and vulnerable with them. But it was nice to know that I'm not alone in that feeling. And it was also nice to know, hearing from Sawyer, because she is the same age as me and a lot of you guys who listen, that she also feels stuck, and that she also, moved to this new city that was so different for her, and how to navigate that, and also how she doesn't know where she wants to end up, but she's going to keep moving forward and shedding that old identity. While it feels scary, it should, because it means that it's working, and you get to decide who you want to be, which is a really refreshing reminder to hear from both of them. She also made us do this exercise at the end. It was called the Odyssey Plan, where I believe it was this course in Harvard called Designing Your Life or something like that. A lot of people have taken this course, and it was the 3 main questions. She asked one of them at the beginning, or actually two at the beginning of to where do you see yourself in 5 years? What does your life look like in 5 years if nothing changes? She asked in the beginning of her seminar, if life forced you to change, what is your plan B? Which was interesting that she repeated it twice, because she basically said that in the beginning, the whole point of that question was that you are capable of reinventing yourself anytime you decide to, even without a crisis, because life is always going to force your hand even when you don't want to. But you don't need to be in crisis for you to change. You don't need to be in crisis for you to have a plan B. Life is going to force your hand no matter how much we try to control life. It doesn't work like that. So why not now? Why not change yourself now, even without needing or even without that force to? The last question that she proposed in this Odyssey plan at the very end was something along the lines of, if there were no limitations, no financial issues, anything like that, what would you do with your life? What would your dreams be? And she said they could be so crazy. She made a funny example of being, like living on a farm with, I don't even know, some animals, like goats or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was so silly. But again, if money, financial means, any kind of limitations that we have now, if they weren't there, what would you do? She made us write that down on a loose leaf piece of paper that was in our book. And I was writing some random points. I wrote like so many different things that didn't really make sense logistically, but that was the point. It was just like, write down what you feel without thinking. And I was trying not to overthink, because she even reminded us, like, hey, overthinkers, like, this should be a fast exercise. But of course, we wanted to be perfectionists. But after we wrote it down, she made us fold it up and hand it to a stranger, which was so interesting. And she said, like, keep exchanging it. So I handed mine to a stranger and then exchanged it again. And she said, I want you to open up somebody else's dream and wish and read it and keep it close to your heart. And just know that, like, someone else has your dream and they want you to achieve it. And I was like, when I was reading somebody's dream in my hand, I was saying, you have time, go do it. And that's what I wrote on their loose leaf piece of paper, because I wanted them to believe that they're so capable, because they are. And I hope that, I can put that toward my dreams as well, because I think it's easy to have this amazing advice for other people, this selfless encouragement for other people, but it's so hard when it comes to ourselves. But there were so many moments in the show that I was crying, I was laughing. At the very end, I was sobbing, because it was just such a beautiful reminder, and I really felt like she was present and being there for us. And it just, I think I was getting emotional, because it sat so true with me, knowing that I feel my purpose is to do something great, or to make a difference in other people's lives, and just live the life that I've always envisioned and dreamed of, and that it's within reach, and it's not just only a dream. Is like, I can manifest this and work towards it and get up every day and choose myself, even if motivation isn't present. I can say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and move for my future body and just get up and do it, because why not now? Why not me? And why not you? Oh my gosh, it was just, guys, I can't even express how grateful I am that I got to go to the show. I'm so grateful that my best friends and my mom were with me for it, and I hope she does another one. I highly recommend going if she comes to your city or a city near you, and she does it again soon, because I think more of the world needs to hear her and her story, because it's so motivating. Her going from one very particular version of herself into this other version of herself that, she maybe didn't see herself being in 5 years, but knew she was meant for more, and just knowing that she was going to work hard every single day despite the difficulties and the challenges that arised from it. Like I said, it was so inspiring to see somebody transform like that. And I appreciate Mel and all her words. I love listening to her podcast, and I can't wait to continue learning from her and seeing where she'll and her daughter Sawyer end up. it was just an incredible experience that I got to share with some of my favorite people. And she commented on my Instagram post, which makes me feel so seen. I would have loved to have run into her in Vancouver, but that's okay. She liked my post and commented on it, which I love. And it's just a good reminder for me to keep going, to keep posting and sharing things with you, because I know that it helps one of you, and that just makes me feel so good about what I'm doing. And I'm just going to keep living every single day with intention and knowing that my future self is going to thank me for this. And I hope that you continue to move forward every single day for you, knowing that you're meant for more and that you can absolutely achieve anything you set your mind to. And if you haven't listened to Mel Robbins, I highly recommend it. I highly recommend reading the Let Them Theory and checking out her other books as well. I would love to read those, and I definitely will once I'm done the other novels that I've started. But I really appreciate you guys sitting and listening to my thought process. I know that it was kind of jumbly. I just wanted to talk about like so many points that I wrote down that I will take with me every single day moving forward, and knowing that I'm so capable of so much more and that you are too. I hope that your week is filled with endless opportunities of joy and love and light. I'm sending all of that incredible energy to you, so I hope that you feel it. I will be posting next Monday, so don't worry, I won't miss that day. But like I said earlier, I appreciate you being patient with me, allowing me to post later. And it was just honestly like good timing, because I wanted to recap her show anyway for you guys. So I'm glad that I got to do that. And I hope the rest of your week is just so fantastic. Can't wait to connect with you guys next Monday. And so we will talk so soon. Okay, bye guys.